Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening. Welcome to Books and Books. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. For those of you here in the store, welcome. For those of you watching on the internet, welcome as well. Just a quick moment to acquaint you with our Books and Books newsletter. This will give you a rundown of all the wonderful events we have at Books and Books, just like this every night of the week. A couple upcoming. A. Scott Berg, the author of Wilson, will be here January 7th. We've got George Saunders, 10th of December author. Alexander McCall Smith will be here as well. Even Isabel Allende will be here towards the end of the month. So pick up a copy of this. As I say, this will give you a great rundown. You can also go to our website, booksandbooks.com. Give us your email. That way we can alert you to everything that's coming up. And for those of you watching on the internet, obviously you're not here this evening. We'd prefer to have you here, but you can always call the store during one of these events and order a book. We'll get it autographed and we'll ship it to you. But tonight is tonight. Photographer Jake Mayfield, undertaking a personal quest for artistic integrity, finds beauty, passion, and racial discord on the lush and feral Caribbean island of Soufriere. On his first day there, he has a run-in with Rollo Joseph, a dangerous pseudo-Rasta whose presence haunts him both physically and psychologically, as their conflict escalates by surprising yet almost inevitable degrees. Mayfield takes refuge in the company of Sheila Faber, a German proprietor of the Ginger Red restaurant, and in the arms of her employee Rita Blandford, a reticent native girl. In a panorama of island life, the story moves back and forth from the streets of Granville, the capital town, and Rollo's turf, to the verdant surroundings of the Red Ginger and the tropical forests of the island's highest peak, to the ramshackle seaside village of the Pagan Bay, as Mayfield's journey spirals downward into paranoia and criminal tourism. Part existential adventure, part love story, this earthy and idiosyncratic novel is a descriptive and sometimes humorous account of a man's essential dilemmas, a microcosm of sex, war, and survival. Our author, Michael Jarvis, was born on an Air Force base and traveled regularly. Living as a child in Guam, Georgia, and England, he graduated from Florida International University. He lives right here in Miami, scouting locations for various film projects and writing fiction. It's indeed a great pleasure to have him with us this evening. Please welcome Michael Jarvis.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Nice to see so many friends here. Thank you all for coming. I don't even know this many people. Thanks to those out there getting this by live streaming. That's cool. Thanks to Books and Books, Mitchell Kaplan and all the dedicated people working here for hosting this event and doing what they do for the literary community all the time. Like many of you, I remember the original store on the corner when there was only one. I heard authors read there. I've heard authors read here. I've eaten plenty of meals in the courtyard, and I've enjoyed the Lincoln Road location, but this is my first time on this side of the podium. Some of you know that I've been writing for quite some time, but not reading in public. Let me get that disclaimer out right away. The journey from the writing of this book in its initial form to the finished product I have here has taken 25 years. Not that all that time was spent on this one book, but that's how long it's taken to get from that point to this point. So it's a little surreal to be up here speaking about it. And I thought some backstory would be appropriate. I was a fine arts major in college, right here at FIU, back when there was only one campus and 5 buildings total. Back then, burrowing owls lived there. Now it's like a small city, if you've seen it recently. Toward the end of my studies, I started taking more English classes, clearly thinking nothing at all about a specific job market. Actually, for me, college ruled out more things that it pointed to. But I took some eye-opening classes, read some good books, and left with 2 bachelor's degrees. By that time, I had written a little and thought I might try some more. The only problem was that I didn't know what to write about. I felt like I had to discover something that was waiting somewhere, perhaps hidden. I knew I had to work, make some money, feel independent and free. So I got a job that prompted me within a week to ask myself when I was quitting. But I stuck it out for a while, saved a bit, and started itching to travel. A girl I knew in college called and said she was going to Europe for an indeterminate length of time and asked if I wanted to join her. I said, definitely, and sold my car. Right away, I was thinking Africa, too. I didn't know how it would come to pass, but it was in my mind like a fever dream. I traveled around Europe with my friend and got a job in Switzerland for the ski season, working in a hotel kitchen. I ended up going from Greece to Egypt by boat and traveled overland through the Sudan and Uganda to Kenya. The whole trip lasted a year, and I came home a changed man. Hey, wait a minute. There it is. Very important. Stay hydrated. Now I had some great writing material, but it was so expansive I didn't know how to process it. I made a few false starts and put it on hold. About this time I entered the film business. Started scouting locations with no experience and got a job on a new television show called Miami Vice. I worked the first season as the show became a hit series, and then did 2 movies back to back, and felt my first brush with Hollywood fatigue. I took an exploratory trip to the Caribbean and had an epiphany and saw the seeds of a story I wanted to write. At that time, I felt the only way I could start writing seriously was to leave Miami and break my patterns. So I moved to Puerto Rico to a little apartment in Old San Juan with no phone and no view, and wrote a novella on a portable Smith Corona typewriter. I moved back to Miami and began living a dual life of freelance location scouting and writing. It was a sort of a Jekyll and Hyde existence, but eventually I had 3 novellas, and one of which was the first incarnation of this novel. And with a book-length manuscript, began searching for an agent. By now it was the 90s, and without too much difficulty, I landed a prestigious New York agent who took me to lunch in Manhattan and praised my work. I visited the agency's office on Fifth Avenue, saw shelves filled with the books of their heavyweight clients, and smiled at my good fortune, figuring I was on my way to book tours, movie deals, and a classic writer's life. That didn't happen. My agent couldn't sell the manuscript, and after a year, dropped me. That wasn't the funny line, but still. I imagined I'd just get another one. Hecklers already. I imagined I'd just get another agent, but that didn't happen either. I kept writing and sending queries to agencies and began submitting short stories to literary journals. This went on for years, along with location scouting and managing commercials, music videos, print ads, movies, and episodic television. I had a couple of stories shortlisted by top-level journals, but not published, and got encouraging feedback from agents for a while. But as the business changed and the economy sank, the replies dried up. My work didn't fit any genre and wasn't easily categorized, and the length tended to be whatever it needed to be. I felt like I was banging my head against the door of the publishing world, and no one was listening. With the rise of the do-it-yourself aspect of modern publishing and the growth of the digital world available almost everywhere, it finally dawned on me that I could change directions and end the frustration that had built up for so long. I could actually launch my own books, and this is the first one. Basically, the novel is about a young American photographer who takes a trip to a rugged, off-the-beaten-track Caribbean island to try to take serious photos and immediately gets into trouble. He also manages to find a fair amount of sex. I'll read a couple of pieces, starting with the opening pages, since the beginning almost always seems like the best place to begin. Field of Vision, Part 1. I nearly step on a chicken, a crazed rooster running for its life. I drop the receiver and raise my arms, pressing myself against the wall, trying to move my feet out of the way as the trapped bird flaps up against the wood and turns back between my legs so that I'm dancing in place around a blur of white feathers and beak. He bangs into my legs, pecking and squawking and beating his big wings, his red comb and wattle flapping wildly as he looks for an exit in a hopeless cul-de-sac. A small boy kneels over my bags at the open door of the booth and reaches in for the rooster with both arms as I attempt with one leg to guide it out without actually kicking it. The bird explodes upward and seems to fill the space entirely with its panic and noise. And in self-defense, my arms push away and send it out over the head of the boy. It hits the floor running, turning left then right, legs working in long strides of airborne alarm, cartoonish in its movement. The people in line at the counter shifting back and forth as the chicken darts among them. The door to the cable and telegraph office has been left open, I notice, as I turn around and pick up the dangling receiver. There are feathers on the floor of my booth and one stuck to my sweaty shirt, which I brush off as I put the phone to my ear and speak. "You still there?" "What the hell's going on?" Tom says. "The connection is okay, but the delay makes everything seem shaky." "A chicken's loose in here. It ran into my booth and pecked me." A what?" A rooster, a cock, a barnyard animal, foghorn, leghorn." I say, "Hold on, boy. Are you telling me it's back outside now? Some kid's chasing it." Through the slot of the open door, I see a vertical segment of island life. Clouds riding over a peaked metal roof covered with rectangular patches of rust. The tops of coconut palms sprouting between buildings. The one across the street, a battered shell of turquoise and black peeling away to reveal a layer of pink like an inner skin. The roof gone and banana leaves slowly unrolling out of windows like weeds. The irregular asphalt of the street is a dusty charcoal with a sandy rose patina across a surface worn with potholes. The hot light playing over everything so intensely that the colors vibrate together, and the shadow of a light pole lies black as tar on the gray pavement, its shape as sharp and flat as an etching scratched into the road. Crossing this narrow view, a sizable woman passes with a round wicker basket on her head. Laundry visible at the top, a solid weight with a circumference greater than the woman herself. In the shadow of the basket, her head is featureless. She has one hand to her face, and in the other she carries a white plastic bucket by its handle, her heavy black arms reflecting russet highlights as if her skin has been rubbed with cinnamon oil. She wears a blue blouse and a white skirt that dazzles in the sun, its brightness and overexposure flashing through my sight. Tom clears his throat. "Aside from being attacked right off the plane, how is Soufriere?" "Hot and sticky, otherwise a far cry from Miami. Look cool from the air, small and rugged, really mountainous. Misty green, visually intriguing." There's a pause longer than the delay. "I hope it works out for you." "I feel good possibilities here." "What happened with the other places, Puerto Rico and the Virgins? They were okay. I just never quite broke out of the tourist thing." "Hey man, this call's going to cost you a fortune." From the next booth, I can hear a woman's muffled voice. I look down at my bags, make sure they haven't moved. A man and a boy in line are watching me through my own open door. My shirt shows dark stripes of sweat from chest to waist. An old metal fan rattles on its stand near the counter, none of its air reaching me. Tom, I say, this is something. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you have to jump off a cliff. I can't do weddings and babies all my life. You don't even make money doing that. It's a couple of months. Jake, whatever you had will be dried up. Gwen Gilmore will give me a show. Maybe you'll get a coffee table book out of it. She has New York connections. I understand the lease was up, the timing was right. Don't you have an artistic bone in your body? Call me the voice of reason. That's what's wrong with the world. What, me or reason? Gotta go. That kid actually caught the chicken. It looks like it's dead. I need to get a shot of this. Why? It's dripping blood in the street, man. There's no answer on the other end. In the silence, another thought occurs to me. Have you seen Marla around? Once. Did you talk to her? She was with some guy. Yeah, okay. Look, I'd help you any way I could, right? I'm barely making ends meet here. I wouldn't even ask. I'm totally fine. I have to get back to work. You take care. You too. Hey, look for a package soon. Okay, I will. Good luck, man, he says. I mean that. Yeah, thanks. I hang up and slide my bags away from the door and get in line at the counter. By the time I pay my phone charges and get outside, I'm certain of two things. The kid with the chicken is gone, and I've made my last long-distance call here. Planning to stay in Granville, the capital, for a couple of days, gathering information on the country, getting some feeling from its nerve center, sampling its nightlife. I rent a plain room in a cheap, clean guest house in the heart of town. Then I go back out immediately with my camera to nose around in the late afternoon light. From the broken jetty, I shoot the vibrant reflections of fishing boats waving in the sea, stews of color, tossed and stirred in fluid collages. I wander along the water's edge to the mouth of the river, where in the current, people seem to be collecting minnows in sacks weighted with stones. On the beach, the skeleton of a car rusts in the sun. As my lens roams over it, two young boys tumble out of a back window. "He try and steal you soul," one of them yells. They plunge into the river and swim underwater to the other side. The minnow catchers watch me shoot the car, but I doubt any good pictures will come from it. I can't seem to find any of its soul remaining. Back among the buildings at the edge of town, my eye is drawn to faded wood, peeling paint, and cracked plaster surfaces. Once rich colors, time textured and seasoned by salt air, of stores and houses emblazoned by a relentless sun. Outside a small house, I stand looking through the lens, working on a composition that involves a streaked lavender wall, the black square of an open window, and a brown dog resting under the edge of the raised floor. Out of the darkness of the window, a man's voice comes to me. "Take me picture, I break that fucking camera." The voice startles me out of the lens, but I can't see anyone inside. Behind me, a few people pass on the street. "I can't see you, the camera can't see you," I say. The dog looks up with a puzzled expression, and I put my eye back into the lens. The window is a black hole. "Don't take no fucking picture here." I bend my knees slightly, lowering the frame. "I see the wall and the dog, okay? The fucking dog don't want it." "The dog is begging for it," I say, and shoot it. The man appears in the window, filling the frame with dark rage. Muscular arms pressed down on the sill. Bloodshot eyes burn red in a black face. Wild clumps of dreadlocks hang like ropes around a heavy black beard that opens as he shouts, "White motherfuck." The motor drive provokes. At the same time, it's hard to resist a photographic moment. Hostile man framed above barking dog. Prologue to a crime. My finger reacts involuntarily, and the motor drive fires again. And as the hostile man climbs out of the window, it fires again. I get out of the lens, stepping backward into the street. Adrenaline shoots through my limbs. My brain blurs with possible actions. On the ground, the man shouts again, "Ass fuck tourists." I stand there wrapping the camera strap around my hand. I don't mind ass fuck, but I have a problem with tourists. He glares at me, his face a mixture of revulsion and amazement. In the street, people are stopping to watch. He steps forward. "Give me that fucking thing." I feel someone close behind me, but I can't look away. I keep the camera. You get some tranquilizers. Devil fuck. He comes toward me, spouting a stream of patois, of which I understand the tone, if not the exact meaning. One of the onlookers speaks. "Leave the man be." Bolstered by the indirect support, I yell out words as they assemble in my head. "Get a therapist, man, or get some better weed." He stops an arm's length away, but I keep it up, as if this verbal barrage is not more fuel to his flame. "Are you a real Rasta man or just a racist with a religious hairstyle?" More voices come out of the street. "Take it easy, man. Picture's nothing to fight about." And from farther back, more urgently, "Rolo, police come." Rolo freezes, holding himself like a coiled spring, and leans forward so I can better see the seriousness in his eyes. He points at me and speaks with trembling quiet. "Dead tourist, dead devil." Before he turns around and moves off down the lane beside his house. I offer a universal goodbye. "Fuck you!" But he's gone. In a daze, I wade through the black faces staring at me, hearing, "Okay, man, free up now, take a motion," and past two policemen walking together in stiff, clean white jackets and hats, their dark faces smooth, saying nothing. This next piece describes Jake's first public interaction with Rita, a local girl he's taken an interest in. She works at the inn where he's staying, and on this night he goes alone to the nearby village of Rocklee for a weekend dance she's told him about. So he walks there, and he finds his way, asks directions, and it's a big kind of warehouse building called Club Camus, C-A-M-O-U. So he goes down there to check it out. Doesn't seem like any other tourists are around, though. Once inside, I stand in the bar room, separated from the rest of the building by a wall with another doorway. On the other side is a larger, darker room with a stage full of equipment at the rear and narrow benches running along the walls. The room is filling up. I see one more open door at the back, apparently an exit, with another man standing by. There are no windows, and the room is hot already. Marley is playing through large speakers, but the DJ hasn't taken the stage. I squeeze up to the bar. There are about 4 stools and maybe 40 people there, and a line filing into the big room. The bartender at my end points at me. "What will it be, man?" "Heineken." There are only Heineken bottles and plastic cups on the bar. He pops one open for me, and I put some money down. "What else you got?" "Vodka, whiskey, rum, and no label." "What's no label?" "That's a cane liquor." He moves away, putting beer bottles on the bar with both hands. The DJ's voice booms out over the music and echoes off the walls. The people clap and yell. I can't understand what he's saying, so I push my way into the big room. I still can't understand what he's saying. From the ceiling in the center of the room, a wheel of colored lights flashes and turns, flinging blue, yellow, red, and orange spots onto the dark walls and the dark mass of people. Standing behind his equipment, the DJ spins a record, the volume cranks up, and dancing begins in earnest. I walk around the room, passing the benches along the walls, and looking at the dark figures sitting there, smoking and drinking and chatting in each other's ears. It is true. I seem to be the only white person here, the only person who can't understand the DJ. Making my way along in the near darkness, I feel an acute sense of myself as a minority, even though the term has never held much meaning for me. I imagine someone standing up in front of me to ask, "Hey man, how is it to be so white?" And me saying, "Fine, it's great to be alive." But no one seems to notice me. In the dark, I'm invisible, ignored, a stranger left alone. I return to the bar. I think if I try some no label, I might start to understand the DJ. The liquor is a clear fluid with the odor of a mild fumigant, something like the groundwater that might be found near a chemical plant. It has a strange, almost bland flavor and a burning aftertaste that leaves a sinister vapor in the nasal passages. I'm surprised that a plastic cup can hold it, and amazed at the quickness with which one attains recognition by ingesting it. After one shot, I learn from the bartender of the local corollary that unites consumption with concern. To publicly drink more than a taste is to admit you are reckless, insane, deeply religious, inquisitive to a fault, hell-bent on destruction, or seeking knowledge through the use of solvents. Soon I began to witness my own unification with the people around me. We buy each other drinks and laugh. Alienation goes out with the empty cups. We see the ways of the world and reach agreements. We marvel at common dilemmas and wheeze at stupid solutions. Two of my closest friends at the bar, John and Earl, convince me that I'm at least brown, and we all promise to visit each other every year. "God damn it, Earl," I say, clapping him on the back. "It's great to travel." Back in the big room, I hear the DJ announce his intention to play selections from Martinique and Trinidad. I move between the dancing bodies, bending with the crowd just to get by, swaying and bumping my way into the thick of the event. Colored spots fly by, catching faces and arms, whipping over walls, grazing my eyes. Caught in the tide of movement, lifted by the heat and the beat, I dance without trying, like a rafter at the mercy of ocean waves. The air is thick and warm like blood, pressing close to my skin, filling my nose and head with the odor of island, the meshed smells of earth and sea, the dripping sweat of coffee and rum, sugar and fish, oil and salt, the fragrance of roots and runoff rain, the sticky liquids of pineapple, papaya, coconut water, the soft, ripe sweetness of brown banana. The air turns over and over, heavy in the closed room, the reused breath of people moving, the stale exhaled currents of beer and smoke, the floating perfume of soaps and potions. People squeeze together, pressing and grinding their partners, strutting and sliding. It is a hothouse of cross-pollination, reeking of musk and mango, oozing the sap of spirits and seduction. All the same, the only fresh air is outside, and that is the direction my dance takes. I reel out the back door into the field, exchanging the smooth madness for moonlight and mountain oxygen. Wandering along a row of cars, I see couples and small groups dotting the field and the chicken shack crowd a far corner away. Stopping between cars, I urinate on the grass. The two vehicles on either side seem to roll back and forth, and I think I hear someone calling. I turn to look over my shoulder, inadvertently peeing on a light-colored Mazda, and see a girl walking toward me. I correct my aim as she nears. "Sorry," I say, I didn't know it was your car." "I don't own a car," she says, stopping behind it. "Rita!" I zip up and turn around. "It's great to see you." We walk over near the club's front door where two other people are waiting. "Jake, that's my brother, Blandy," she says. A skinny kid wearing a tricolor knit cap reminiscent of the Ethiopian flag stands with his hands deep in his pockets. And my friend Janet. Janet shakes my hand warmly, smiling as she looks me over. Enjoying yourself, Jake? Very much so. Want to dance? Very much so. In the light of the doorway, Blandy eyes me sullenly and looks around like he's expecting to meet someone. He's wiry, about 6 feet tall, has a small round face, a small nose like his sister's, and close-set hazel eyes, lighter and odder than usual around here. His forehead is pimpled and his mouth is downturned in what looks like a perpetual frown. The two girls chat amiably, occasionally asking me a question, politely keeping me involved. Janet is very pretty, short and curvy. Her clothes barely contain her. Inside, I buy the girls whiskey cokes and myself another no label, and we enter the dark dance chamber. The music is too loud for much talking, so I follow Janet into the labyrinth. Somewhere inside, at a place where there are several inches between us, she begins to dance, wedging herself into position and giving me the rhythm she wants back. I find it, bumping off her with the beat, rebounding as she spins, hitting any part that comes around to me. One song runs into another. Without hands, we rub together, getting personal, I think, her round rump sliding against my rubbery hardness. The beat throbs off the walls and never stops. All around us, people are touching, knocking, and brushing their neighbors, bumping their partners in unison. I feel myself slipping into a giddy sensuality and close my eyes to the colored lights. Lost in one world, I feel its heart beating. The motion is natural, instinctive. There are no individuals, just a body around the warm, pulsing heart of the world. I feel its heat, smell its wild scent. The body dances the rights of nations and animals, held by the bonds of earth, blood, and sex. The body is bliss. There is no blame or misery, only the beat and the dance of the world tribe. The dance becomes personal again, an erotic ritual. I open my eyes and find that Rita has become my partner. The surprise is electrifying. We push harder, lingering perceptibly to grind on target, finding points of mutual consent and staying with them, running together like wheels on a track. The music is relentless. I can't stop. This is the greatest dance of my life. Orgasm is imminent. Conception not out of the question. Someone steps hard on my foot, tripping me up. Suddenly the song changes and the DJ talks over it. People crowd me. I'm too far from Rita and our contact regions aren't meeting firmly. The smoke stings my eyes. I find it difficult to breathe properly. The darkness is bad air, choking me to the floor. The wet skin of strangers is slippery against me. The room has filled to capacity, but at the door, more and more people are somehow getting in. There's no stopping it. No one knows how much is too much. Claustrophobia rolls over me like an avalanche. We will all suffocate. The world in a room, everyone alive, has come to dance, and getting out is like swimming through quicksand. Finally, I stumble outside. I suck down great lungfuls of moist night air, my hands resting on the cool metal of a fender through which I can feel the bass notes escaping the building. Turning my head, I see the strung lights and the people waiting to get inside. I laugh and notice someone sitting on the hood of the next car, watching me as he smokes. Getting thick in there, I say, standing up straight. You like my sister? It's Blandy, looking me over. Yeah, she's a nice girl. He stares at me while he blows smoke into the night. You fuck her? I almost laugh at this abrupt inquiry. You know, I say, rubbing my forehead, I'm not certain, but she may have been impregnated during that last dance. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Any questions?
Folks, I think we have have time for a couple of questions. Give me a moment to get to you with this microphone. As you can tell, you will not be able to hear yourself as you hear Michael, but they will be able to hear you over the internet. And also for the benefit of the cameras around the room, please make sure you're sitting next to who you're supposed to be sitting next to. Anyone have any questions?
Are you working on another book? Is that your first and last? Or?
No, it's not. It's first, but not the last.
All right.
There's a couple more coming that are basically done. A trilogy of novellas and short stories. They'll just need a bit more. But they're coming. Yep.
The book's beautifully descriptive, and there's a lot of little vignettes talking about describing the photographer, Jake, framing images and things, and as if you were a photographer. So is that in your background?
As if. Yeah. I've taken a couple pictures here and there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, location scouting involves a lot of picture taking, so that's you get some practice doing that.
Did your wife help you with the book at all?
Hey, 2 times, you're a heckler, man. 2 times. That's that guy with the white shirt. Yeah. No. Well, she's always helpful in every way, of course, in every situation. But she didn't help write the book.
Beautiful descriptions of when in the jungle. That your book was amazing. I really
Thank you.
enjoyed
Thanks
it.
a lot.
It
I don't know
seems
this
like
woman, but thank you. Yeah.
it seems like this is from experience. Have you traveled a lot?
Well, I mean, I've traveled, yeah. And for me, travel kind of provided the beginning of a kind of a kickoff of ideas about the stuff I was interested in, clash of cultures and kind of getting lost in the world in a place you're not familiar with. So, yeah, travel is still to me a great source of inspiration. Yeah.
How did you decide to write?
The present tense.
Man, I don't even know. I mean, it's weird because the book is so long in the making that, I started that way and it didn't seem so, far away as it does now. It takes place in '87, but I mean, I didn't start it then, but I later when it went through changes and became the book that I was going to publish first, I just decided to stick with the style, and I just decided to stay with it because it was started that way, and I just wanted to. And I think I wanted to keep the sense of immediacy, that I wanted to get the feeling that you're there. I wanted to put the reader there and make them feel like they were experiencing the jungle and the island and the people, and so I just kept it that way.
You'll do another book with Jake? Will this be like the first one, and maybe Jake will come
I
back?
didn't have any plans. I don't have any plans for that, but I mean, a few people have asked that. I never thought of a series of a recurring character ever. No, I just think of a book as a one-time deal, and you move on to something else. But you never know as time goes on, and the requests come piling in. You have to take that into consideration. But there's no plan. I don't have any other thoughts, but.
Due to the fact that you've been involved in movies for many years, did the concept of the book get influenced by movies and the possibility of seeing it on film? When you put it together, did you edit it and construct it in a way that might apply within the movies in a seamless way?
Well, I wasn't really involved in movies when I started it, so I mean, I think it's I don't know. It's I mean, I was already taking pictures. I think maybe it has a sort of a cinematic style, but it wasn't a conscious thing that I was planning to have it be a movie. But I'm entertaining any offers. But I didn't. It wasn't a conscious thing. I just think that because it's so descriptive, and there was such an emphasis on description that it was sort of cinematic in a way. And the fact that obviously the protagonist is a photographer, makes it kind of seem like it's being filmed in a way. So I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it on the cinema. Sure, but it wasn't really it wasn't a conscious effort to do that. Yes.
Michael, I love the book, but
Oh,
what
thank you.
happened to the dog?
Spoiler alert. Okay. Grab that woman. Put that woman in the courtyard. No, it's a good question. I mean, the dog's roaming around somewhere still. She's fine. She's fine. Just looking for a new home.
I believe you said earlier it was a reincarnation of an earlier story. So is it kind of like seeing a child grow up into an adult? Like, what's the comparison? More fully developed and.
Yeah, the first when I wrote my first complete manuscript, it was 3 novellas, and one of them was the beginning of this book, but obviously much thinner and didn't go where this goes, or it just kind of stopped and that was it. But so that's, I just at one point I just decided to take it out and put something else into the trilogy, which will come out in my next book. But this one, I thought somehow I just realized, there was a lot more that should happen. If Jake stayed longer there and sort of took action about things that had happened to him, then it would become like a full-fledged novel and a much better story and, go places. So it just, it had even a different name in the first, version of it. But anyway, so, but yeah, it's a long process too. It wasn't like I just said, oh, I'll just pop this into a novel now. So it takes a long time, but anyway, yeah, the seed was there though.
Michael, you did a really good job of building a sense of impending violence throughout a good part of the book, and stalking Rollo in his neighborhood. And I'm just curious, when you were writing the book, was that intentional, or did you kind of write it and then it just kind of unfolded, or was that something that you wanted to build this sense of upcoming violence and confrontation?
Well, I think that, it's a process. I never know what's going to happen in the beginning of anything, even a short story. I don't know how it's going to end when I start it. There's no formula. There's no like fleshing out the points. So, it kind of builds itself, as it goes along, and characters reveal what they're going to do and the story itself. So I think it, obviously since it was a conflict from page 5, it became an ongoing, escalating situation, and but one thing led to another. I couldn't see what was going to happen at the end, but I knew it would probably come to a head in some way, and just a matter of, sort of staying with it and letting it develop and seeing how bad it gets, So it had to resolve some way. So but yeah. I knew it was going to be violent. Yeah, go ahead.
Question. Anyone?
Can you describe your process a little bit and how you write from day to day?
No, I can't. No. Since I have another job too, the most productive times for me are when I have a chunk of time and I can really work on something. Otherwise, it's back and forth. It's not as good. But so for me, it's kind of fragmented sometimes because of the business that I'm in that a lot about. But film production. So that's very, very all-consuming when you're involved in that. So my process is when I get time, I just try to keep something going and add to it, even if it's fragmented. And but the best thing is to as any writer will tell you, is to have a nice amount of time, or either some regular time, and just keep working on it as much as you can, you know, with continuity. So, but there's no real formula. Whatever works, whatever you get, however you get it done, you get it done. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. And thank you to all of you for coming, for you watching on the internet. Thank you for watching. You are all now required to buy 5 copies apiece. They are for sale behind the counter. Michael will sign them for you right here. Thank you so much for being with us. Enjoy the rest of your evening.